I'm still going to tackle that TBR shelf. Welcome back to the Bookworms Buddy. Yes, I changed this to tackle my TBR shelf because it sounds better than the TBR shelf. So I know we all got a TBR and we're all trying to get through our TBR, but I made things easier for myself, and I have a shelf set up with books that I put on the TBR shelf from doing unhauls or hauls, or I find interesting books on my shelf that might get unhauled and I change my mind and I decide I'm going to try to read it, and I put it on my TBR shelf. Helps me get through these books. I have 21 books on that TBR shelf, and right now I'm on book 7 of those 21. So I am going to go through this. This is my update for week 2 of Tackle My TBR Shelf. So the first week it was Just for Now, Precious Things, and then I just picked up Eleanor and Park. I was getting ready to start that one. Well, this one rolls over to this week. Eleanor and Park is a really cute, clean romance of 2 teenage kids who believe they know what love is. Eleanor moves in, and she's not your normal, everyday, ordinary girl. She just really doesn't have a whole lot going for her. She's got a mother who doesn't care. She wears strange things like neckties in her hair and fishing lures on hats and that kind of stuff. Well, Park just likes that Eleanor does these things and she really doesn't care. So they strike up a relationship and it goes on from there. Everybody pretty much knows about Eleanor and Park. Oh, it is by Rainbow Rowell. Not my favorite Rainbow Rowell, but it was a good read. I rated this 4 stars. After that one, I moved on to this book called Summer at Firefly Beach by Jenny Hale. I had heard of Jenny Hale before, and I had a book, so I decided to put it on my TBR shelf after doing unhauls. I gave this book a second chance before I said bye-bye, and I really did kind of enjoy this. It's a very mellow romance. You got this girl, Haley, who has an Aunt Claire who passes away, and the whole family goes there to figure out what their inheritance is. And Claire does not get her inheritance until she finishes her bucket list that she wrote at 12 years old. Her aunt made that a stipulation for her to do before she got her inheritance. So that is what these things on the bucket list, that's what the story is. She's got to complete these things on the bucket list. It was a very sweet story, a sweet romance. It's probably not something I'm going to read again, so I'm still not sure if I'm going to keep it. But I did give it a second chance and read it and enjoyed it. I gave it 3.5, 4 stars. Yeah, so it was alright. It was a pretty good book. And then I really tried to read The Never Never Sisters. This is by Allison Heller. I don't know where this book came from. No idea. I'm guessing it came from either a thrift store or a Dollar Tree or something like that. And I read the first couple chapters and I'm like, I can't do it. It's just very slow, not a whole lot going on. It just seemed kind of boring to me. So rather than move on to another book on the TBR shelf, I replaced this book so that I would still have the 21 books, and I replaced it with It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. I know I was getting kind of slumpy trying to read the Never Never Sisters, and I needed something that wasn't going to make me slumpy, and it ended up being It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. There was, and there still is, so much going on about this book. The next book is released in October, and my sister and I said we weren't going to read this book until closer to October, but I couldn't help myself. I had been seeing so much going on about this book, I needed to read it. Yet you have several characters in this book. You've got Lily, you have Ryle, you have Atlas, and it's just a really heartbreaking story. This really covers mostly the issue rather than the romance of the story, and it covers domestic abuse because Lily's mother goes through this every day, and Lily is witness to that. She doesn't know any other way, but she does know she doesn't want to have to go through that herself. Her mother finally broke the cycle and left him and ended it right there, so Lily would not have to continue to see what was going on. And then there is Ryle. She meets Ryle. He's a neurosurgeon, and he's just someone you're going to fall in love with. I know I fell really hard for Ryle from the first minute we meet him. But the first one you meet is Atlas, and Atlas you meet through her journal that she writes to Ellen DeGeneres, and she writes everything about her life with Atlas in that journal. And that's the part that you read. Well, you do read about Ryle, where she meets Ryle out on the rooftop, and then you meet Atlas through these journals back in her teen years when she was going through so much with her mom and dad. And then it pains me not to be able to say anything else, but I'm not going to, because I don't want to make this anything to be a spoiler and ruin it for somebody else who's not read it, like me, who's late to the bandwagon. I'm reading It Ends With Us. This book just killed me. It just ripped my heart out, put it back, and just ripped it again. And it was over and over and over and over. And the domestic abuse hits home with me really hard. So this was something that was kind of difficult to read. And but I think it's very important for people to know, you know, that women don't stay in these relationships because they like it. That is not the reason. And if you've not been in a relationship like that, then you need to, this will definitely open your eyes. And this is also a story that is true to life that Colleen Hoover was writing about her own mother. And I've seen people who were just saying disgusting things about the book, you know, saying, oh, this was so stupid, blah, blah, blah. And then I saw someone else come in and say, hey, listen, this is what this is about. And if you read I don't know if she calls this, no, this one's notes from the author. Usually it's Dear Readers or something, but this is notes from the author. And if you read that, you can read that first even, and it'll make you understand the story a little bit better. People just, it's just so stereotypical for people to think that women are just stupid for, you know, continuing on, and it's really not like that. Anyway, I'm going to stop now. But this was a very, very, very heartbreaking story, and I don't think it's about being Team Ryle or Team Atlas. It's all about ending the cycle, is what it's about. So anyway, It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. Then the next one that I read for my Tackle the TBR shelf is Arclight. This is by Jocelyn L. McQueen. I've had this book forever, guys, and it is a YA science fiction, and I don't do good with science fiction, but I thought I would try the YA version of science fiction, and I actually really liked this. This one, you have Marina, and it's a bunch of people in this place, Arclight, the safety place, and out there is the Fade, and they're killing off all their people, and they're trying to protect themselves from the Fade. And that is the premise of the story. And I was like, well, you know, I'll try it. And it was, the very first part of this book was very confusing for me. I was like, what is happening? Because there was so much going on, and I almost just put this book down. But I decided, just go, you know, another few pages, and then it all kind of straightened out to where you were understanding what was happening. You kind of understand, but then there was just so much happening. It was just hard to keep following it. But then it did even out, and I did really end up enjoying the book. I rated this one 3.5 stars. I'm still not sure if I want to keep this and then read the other two. But then when I looked up book 2 and read that synopsis, I was like, oh, I kind of feel like I need to read it because of the way this one ended. So I'm still a little unsure. I would have to get the other 2 books. I could probably get them for my Kindle cheaper, but I really kind of like the covers on this, and it's a science fiction that I read and I liked, so I may have to hang on to this one. This was one that I was considering for my unhaul, but I decided to give it another chance just because I love that cover, and the story ended up being pretty good, so 3.5 stars for that one. And then the 7th book from my Tackle the TBR shelf is The Night Sister by Jennifer McMahon. I've read several of her books, and she's just kind of up and down for me. So I just take them as they come. Some I like, some I don't like. And I'm hoping this one will be one that I do like. This goes back to the 1950s, and then it comes back to present day. You have these 3 friends, Piper, Amy, and what is the other girl's name? Margot. And then Piper and Margot find something out about Amy, and then it just devastates Amy. It ruins their friendship. And then years later down the road, it's either Piper calls Margot or Margot calls Piper. I don't remember which. I think Margot calls Piper and lets her know that Amy's entire family is dead, and they're saying it's at the hands of Amy. So that's about as far as I am in the story. It does sound interesting. I'm on page 22, so we'll see. But I wanted to include this even though I didn't get it finished, but I did start it. So that is where I am on Tackle My TBR shelf. I'm 7 books in out of 21, and I've already got my stacks ready for my next TBR shelf. It's working really well for me. I'm just pulling books off as I'm doing unhauls or as I'm hauling books, and I'm just lining them up to stick them out there. Right now I have like 17, not 21. I have 17 books for my next TBR shelf. Now in case I find something else in here that I want to read, I'll just add it to it. But that's where we stand right now, guys. I've got 7 books of 21 read. Makes me very, very happy. If you want to join in and do Tackle your TBR shelf, let me know in the comments below and we'll talk about it. Thanks, guys, for staying tuned, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.